Oh, it's just you guys. Oh, thank God. Hey guys, AMAC here, and today I'm hiding in a closet. Why? Well, that's simple. Because the anime is out there.
Anime. It's everywhere now. What once was a niche interest has spawned into a multi-million-dollar industry, and nowhere can you see the effect of this more than in collectible card games. But this wasn't always the case, so how did we get from this to this?
Well, in order to distract myself from my impending doom, I'm gonna be taking a look back, just to see how this vile leech of anime infiltrated our cardboard utopia. This is the history of anime TCGs.
The first taste of anime and trading card games that I could find came in 1996. Super Robot Wars Scramble Gather was a card game spin-off of Super Robot Wars. This video game series was known for bringing together characters from various mecha shows, mecha being a subgenre of anime that focuses on giant robots punching each other in space! When Scramble Gather came out, mecha was still in its golden age, and it was able to get characters from some of the best mecha shows ever made. I'm talking Gunbuster, Gundam, Getter Robo, Aura Battler Dumbine, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and many more, in addition to a variety of original characters. I really like this game's art style. All the robots are chibi versions of themselves, with the pilots being more similar to a standard anime art style. And while you may think that these would clash, they actually look really well together and do a good job differentiating the types of cards from one another. So, how do you play? Well, unfortunately, there's no official fan translation, so I have to rely on Google Translate to learn the rules, so just take everything that I'm about to say with a grain of salt. As far as I can tell, the gameplay is very similar to Magic the Gathering, but with a few changes. First off, your deck serves as your life total, and when you take damage or need to pay a cost, you'll mill cards from it. You do damage by having your robots destroy your opponents, and you can buff your robots by using item and pilot cards. Whoever runs out of cards in their deck first loses. Overall, it seemed like the game made some interesting changes to Magic's mechanics, while also adding in its own flair, and it really is a shame that it never got a translation. As the 90s went on, we began to see more and more card games, and it wasn't too long till we'd find an anime that had its own dedicated card game. Not content with just appearing in Scramble Gather, Neon Genesis Evangelion would get its own card game in 1998.
Or 1996. I don't know, records are kind of mixed, and also hard to find when you're in a closet afraid for your life.
For those of you unfamiliar with the show, Neon Genesis Evangelion was a mecha anime that released in 1996. The show quickly became insanely popular due to its compelling characters, dark themes, and absolutely gorgeous animation. The art of the card game consists mainly of screenshots from the show, and while I would normally find this pretty lazy, the art of this show is just so amazing that I don't even mind. The game itself revolves around helping characters from the anime, and the first person to befriend their target character wins. While this may sound simple enough, in order to reach your goal, you're going to have to deal with drama, minor characters, and giant killer monsters. Thankfully, this game does have a fan translation, with a full guide and several hundred cards available online, so if anything I said about it piques your interest, then you should definitely check it out. Yu-Gi-Oh is a manga by Kazuki Takahashi that released in 1996. In it, a boy finds a magical puzzle and awakens an ancient spirit who begins solving all of his problems using death games. At first, these games started off simple, such as dice, puzzles, stabbing money, escaping a chainsaw-wielding psychopath. Wait, what? However, it wasn't until Chapter 9 that things would really start to get interesting. Yeah, that's right, that's when they started playing card games. A trading card game known as Duel Monsters was introduced. While it was initially only planned to appear twice, readers loved it so much that Takahashi decided to make the rest of the series revolve around it. The manga would get an anime adaptation in 1998, and a card game would be released by Bandai that same year. While the anime would be pretty faithful to the source material, the game was completely different. Core elements such as attacking worked completely differently, and it lacked key features such as life points and the ability to put monsters in defense position. Then, in 1999, Konami would make their own Yu-Gi-Oh card game, this one being nearly identical to the one found in the manga. Soon after, Studio Gallop would create a second Yu-Gi-Oh anime. This adaptation was a lot less faithful. It cut out entire arcs and had the violence of the manga turned down significantly. However, the biggest difference is that it focused almost exclusively on duel monsters, cutting out nearly all other games. And because of this, it became the most effective commercial that the card game could ever ask for. But let's talk about the cards themselves. The game's artwork is all original, and as time has gone on, it's kept getting better and better. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you and your opponent each start with 8,000 life points, and the goal of the game is to bring your opponent's life points to 0. To do this, you can attack your opponent with monsters, play spells with various effects, and lay traps for your opponent to run into. Yu-Gi-Oh is an insanely fun card game that allows for all sorts of interesting interactions, tense moments, and crazy combos. The game quickly became one of the most popular TCGs ever made, and this success was due in large part to the promotion of the game through the anime. While we had seen tie-in products before, we had never seen an entire show whose premise was based around one product. Since its release, we've seen countless games copy this strategy to various degrees of success. However, none could outdo the original. In the years after Yu-Gi-Oh, we saw anime card games begin to appear more and more. Then, in 2008, Weiß Schwarz released. While almost every other anime TCG was focused on one show, Weiß was the ultimate crossover. Each set released focused on a different show, with a wide variety of genres being represented. The art of the game consists almost entirely of screenshots taken from whatever property is being represented. Sometimes this works, but, well, other times you can clearly tell that this artwork was not meant for cards. Still, certain sets and higher rarities do have original artwork, and it looks really good. In Weiß Schwarz, your deck consists of a variety of characters that you can use to attack your opponent. Whenever you deal damage to your opponent, they put the top cards of their deck into their clock equal to the number of soul your character has. Deal enough damage and your opponent will level up, putting them closer to defeat, but also allowing them to play more powerful cards. I love this mechanic. It stops one player from just being steamrolled, and it keeps the game interesting all the way to the final turn. But the game may be best remembered not for its art or its gameplay, but rather for starting an empire. You see, this was the first card game Bushiroad ever made. Bushiroad was a company that had just launched only a year before Weiss's release, but soon became one of the biggest players in the trading card world. But what about Weiss? Well, 15 years later, the game is still going stronger than ever. In recent years, they've been able to get the rights to some incredibly popular franchises, such as Avatar, Fate, SAO, Attack on Titan, and even Disney. There really is no telling where we'll see the game go next. In terms of new anime TCGs, the most interesting one might be the One Piece TCG, just because of how quickly it was able to get such a devoted fanbase. The art of the One Piece TCG is a mix of anime still shots, manga panels, and original artwork. While I still prefer my card games to have all original art, I think the reused stuff looks fine in this case. Gameplay-wise, One Piece is an interesting blend of Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. Each player begins with one leader card and a deck of character cards. At the beginning of the game, each player takes a certain number of cards from the top of their deck and places them face down to represent their leader's health. Whenever your leader loses a battle, you'll take one of these life cards and add it to your hand, or if you have no life left, you lose the game. Overall, it seems that One Piece has looked at the most successful TCGs on the market, taken their best mechanics, and added its own flair, and I am very excited to see how this game will evolve in the future. Nowadays, card games and anime have become inseparable. Most major shows are represented on card games in one form or another, and even non-anime TCGs have started to experiment with anime-inspired art styles.
Speaking of non-anime cards, I gotta show you guys this copy of Karn Liberated I just bought. Oh, this thing is sick. I'm going to restart the game like 5 times and steal everyone's stuff. The rest of my commander pod is going to be so annoyed with... Come on! I don't have it. I must have left it on my desk upstairs. I gotta get it before tonight's game, but... the anime is out there. Whoa there. Easy, girl. Easy. Oh, God. Oh, thank God. No.